everyone, it's Asha. Welcome back to another Reading with Asha video. Today's video, I'm going to be giving you some summer book recommendations, which I am so excited about because I love summer reading and I love beachy themed books. It's just my favorite thing ever, so I'm really excited to share these with you guys. So for this, I'm gonna put the pictures of the books on the screen because a majority of my books are in storage right now, or some of these books I've also read like on an e-reader, my Kindle. That's what we're gonna do in place of having the physical copy of most of the books, but I'm going to give you a short little synopsis of each book without spoiling anything at all, so do not worry about that, and I will tell you about some of the vibe. But first, I wanted to mention, because I'm not done with this yet, but I am 216 pages into this, and this is the ultimate summer read. It's called The Summer of Songbirds by Christy Woodson Harvey. I've never read anything by this author before. I actually think I saw it online somewhere and put it on my Goodreads, or I asked AI if they could give me a recommendation, and I put it in my want to read, and then I just got it last week for my birthday and started reading it, and I'm so far into it and started it like 2 days ago because it's so good, and I think this is going to be a 5-star for me. So I figured I'd share it now because I'm going to be sharing all these other books. The story revolves around 4 women, but 3 of them are best friends, and then one of the women is the aunt of one of our main characters, Daphne. And the 3 girls who are best friends all met when they were like 6 years old at summer camp, which is what the book kind of centers around. Daphne, her aunt June, actually owns the summer camp and owned it when they all became friends there. So you get the point of view of Daphne, June, and Lanier. Daphne's one of our main characters, so is Lanier. They are best friends, and then June is the aunt, and then you also get to see their other friend, Mary Stewart, but she doesn't have her own point of view so far as I've read. But basically, they're like 30 years old now, and they're all going through so many different things in life, but the camp that they all met at when they were young, the summer camp that they went to every summer and learn how to become independent and do all these really cool and fun things, is actually suffering really bad. And June's the owner of it, and it's suffering because of COVID and stuff, so basically it's been their mission to get it back together and do all these things. But this book has so much good summer vibes. I'm gonna say that so many times during this video, so that if that annoys you, I'm so sorry, but it's so perfect. Like, there's so many things, and also I think that this is going to be a 5-star for me because I can relate to each of the characters in so many ways, and I love them so much, and I'm just enjoying this book so much so far, so I really had to share it with you guys. Also, Emily Henry has a blurb on the front that says, "Put this in your beach bag immediately." If you're an Emily Henry fan, I know a lot of people are. If that motivates you to read it, highly recommend. I haven't seen anyone talk about this on social media, but I really hope that this book gets out there because it's so good, and it's a story about female friendship, the places that shape us into who we are. It's just, I love it so much, so highly recommend that one. If you want a summer read, it's so perfect for summertime. Let's get into all the books that I have read, and I do have full ratings for. I split this up into 4 different categories. By the way, this book right here will be a part of the first category as well because it's just fiction. There is subplots of romance, a ton of them in this book, so don't worry if you're a romance girl. It's just not the whole plot of the book, but there's so much in it, and I love that. So the first couple of books I'm going to talk about are all fiction / literary fiction, so it's either just like a general fiction story or it's centering around characters and their lives specifically, and it's like character driven rather than plot driven if it's literary fiction. But the first one, which I've talked about so many times and I just have to include it every single time because it's my favorite, is Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. This is one of my favorite books ever, and when I read it, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I read it in the summertime. It has great summer vibes. I actually am loaning my copy right now to my friend because, you know, of course I have that book with me. So this is about a young girl, and it's based in the 1970s in Baltimore. I think the girl at the beginning of the story, Mary Jane, I think she's 11 years old, but she takes a summer nannying job with a very free-spirited family, and the family and the little girl who she nannies for could not be more different than her own. It's coming of age. It leads to so many eye-opening experiences and personal growth for her, and it's a really fun story. There's a big music element to the story, which is really cool, but if you like coming of age narratives, and I feel like if you're a girl and can experience these feelings of girlhood in any way, shape, or form, you will probably love this story because that's what it's all about, is girlhood, and that's what I love so much. So I would highly recommend this. This is a 6-star read for me, and I tell everyone to read it. Just trust me, holds such a special place in my heart. Okay, next is Summer Sisters by Judy Blume. I actually have this one right here, but this one is pretty similar to to the first one in the coming of age aspect, but it's about a friendship between two women. So they start off in the beginning of the story there, it's like in the future, and then the rest of the story it goes back because every summer they go to Martha's Vineyard together. So the story switches point of views a lot, but it's mostly in Victoria's point of view, and she becomes friends with Caitlin, and Caitlin goes to Martha's Vineyard every summer and ends up taking Victoria with her every single summer. And it's another kind of like coming of age, and they're going through all these experiences, but it's also based on Martha's Vineyard. So I mean, just look at this cover. It's literally called Summer Sisters. Friendship, sisterhood, girlhood, and it's all happening on such a cute little island with so many fun things. They're going through so many different experiences and navigating growing up and love and boys and like all these different things. But I think I gave this one a 4 stars. I actually read it when I was on vacation, and it was like the perfect beach book. So I really love this book, and I would love to see more people reading it because it's so good. Next up is The Summer of '69 by Ellen Hildebrand, or pretty much any Ellen Hildebrand book, because most of her novels are based on the island of Nantucket, which is a tiny little island off the coast of Massachusetts that is known for being people's summer home. And guys, I'm so excited to say this, but I'm going to Nantucket this summer, and I'm so excited about it because if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I love Ellen Hildebrand books. So I've always obsessed over Nantucket and wanted to go there. The Summer of '69 specifically is the story of the Levin family, and it switches between point of views, which is really fun because pretty much all of Ellen Hildebrand's books do that. It switches between different characters' point of view, so there's always something interesting going on, and you're always turning the page wanting to know more. And every character has a very transformative summer on Nantucket, so you get the Nantucket imagery, the vibes, the scenery, which Ellen Hildebrand is so great at writing, which makes it so summery and just so good and amazing, and I love it so much. I would recommend, again, any Ellen Hildebrand novel. Some of my favorites include The Hotel Nantucket, Golden Girl. Summer of '69 I think is my favorite of her summer novels, and I have so many more to read, and I'm really excited. She's coming out with a new book also in June if you have read most of her books, but I would highly recommend any of her books for summertime. It's the perfect time to read her books, and she is such a great author. The last of my fiction / literary fiction books is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I'm sure you've probably heard about somewhere. It's a really good story, and it's based in Malibu, so you've got the surfing vibes of this family. You've got the Malibu beaches. This is about the Riva family, and they have this huge end of summer party every year. So this is them getting ready for that and preparing for that. And it also switches between point of views with the characters, kind of similar to how Ellen Hildebrand does that. And there's always something interesting going on with each character. But everything leads up to a very unexpected night that changes everything for this family. So it's a very interesting story. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think she's a great author and very enticing, engaging, page-turning, etc. And I think especially if you're getting into reading and looking for a great summer novel, I think this is a great option. Now I have 4 summer romances that I really liked and gave me those perfect summer vibes. The first one, like I talked about a little bit earlier, is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I think sometimes Emily Henry books are classified as fiction. They center heavily around the romance in my opinion, and I know like when I worked at Barnes & Noble, we would always put her books in the romance, so that's why I'm classifying it under this, because that's what this one is about a lot. But it takes place in this summer house, I'm pretty sure, vacation home that one of the main character's friends has in Maine. You've got lobster rolls, you've got the beaches, you've got the sunsets. Like, there's just so many good, I just want to say vibes all the time, but that's what it is. It's just great vibes, the whole book. This centers around a couple who has broken up several months before they go on this little party. They haven't told any of their friends that they've broken up because they were so in love with each other, and nobody knows that they were broken up, and it's just like a really hard thing. So they end up pretending to still be together around all their friends on this whole week-long vacation, and you can see where that takes them. The next one I wanted to talk about is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I actually don't think I've ever talked about this in one of my summer recommendation videos, but it is a small town romance, so I feel like it's perfect to read during the summertime. It is a bigger book. A lot of Lucy Score's romance books are pretty long, but I read this one on my Kindle and I thought it was super good. I'm pretty sure it's on Kindle Unlimited. But our main character in this book is trying to help her sister, and she ends up basically stranded in this small town, and you won't believe the person who helps her through it all is a very grumpy man. So this is is kind of grumpy sunshine. If you like that vibe, it's really, really cute. But they strike up a little romance and it ends up super good. And I thought that this one was really engaging. And also I read this when I went to the beach like a year or two ago, and I thought it was a great book for any kind of warm weather summer vibe. Next one that I'm going to talk about, I'm sure you've heard about before. It's called Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is actually her debut novel. I really, really like her imagery, scenery, and just the overall feeling that you get when you read her books. But the main character in this book ends up going back to the small little lake house, lake town where she spent all of her summers growing up. And this is like a childhood friends to lovers romance, and it's also second chance. So she ends up meeting back up and kind of rekindling things with her house neighbor who they always spent every summer together. It's also very similar and has been compared to the book Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren very often, because it's the childhood friends to lovers second chance romance. So if you like that and if you like that book, you'd probably really enjoy this one, and it's perfect for the summer. The last romance that I have that's adult romance is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I actually don't hear this one talked about a lot when it comes to summer books, but I hear this book recommended a lot in general, and I really enjoyed this book when I read it. I read it super quickly, but I also remember getting a lot of summer vibes when I read it, because I remember the main character in the town that she ends up going to and living at is like a lake town, and there's a lake surrounding things. I just remember that so vividly. But she basically goes to this town because she's seeking peace and change from her life and all these things that she's been through, and she ends up meeting a man whose name is Archer, and he's very, very reclusive, very kind of shy, it appears. And also there's like a lot of people in town who say don't talk to him because he's rude and this and that, but they've never really given him a chance or gotten to know him. You can see where things go from there, but I think that this one is really, really sweet. This one also is pretty spicy. I have two YA books that are both romance. So the first one is The Summer of Broken Rules by Kale Walther. I always recommend this one because it's another one that's based on the island of Martha's Vineyard, which again is just known for being a summer island just like Nantucket is. And I've talked about this one so many times in so many videos, but if you like the idea of Martha's Vineyard summer vibes, but it's like a whole family thing, the main character goes there with her family for her cousin's wedding, and they all play this game of assassin, which is basically when you take like water guns and you can shoot someone with a water gun, like your person that you were assigned to, and then once you shoot them and they're quote unquote dead, they're not really dead, obviously they got shot with a water gun, then you take their person, and it goes like that until there's only a couple people left. So they play this like huge fun game of assassin. Well, also it's her cousin's wedding, and there's also a romance that happens with one of the groomsmen. This one has a little tiny bit of spice, and it's definitely easy to skip over, but I don't want to say that it has no spice just because it's YA, because sometimes YA books do that. I really, really like this book, and I read it so quickly. It's another book that I read on a beach vacation, so I would highly recommend this one. Next, I never hear anyone talking about this or reading this, but this is the book Hello Goodbye by Kate Stallenbeck. I read this like 2 years ago, and it's about a young girl who ends up spending a few days a week with her grandma in the summertime, which she does not want to do at first, but she ends up discovering this whole mystery and all these little secrets when she ends up spending time with her grandma, and it's based in the summer, so that's where the summer vibes come in. And then also one of her grandma's neighbors is someone that she kind of has like a little crush on who goes to school with her, and so they end up kind of connecting in some ways, and it's just a really cute, sweet romance. There's a lot of Beatles references in it, and it is YA. I don't remember there being any spice in it as far as I know. I haven't read it in a few years, but I really remember loving it when I did read it, so I would highly recommend that one. Then I have two mystery thriller books that I really enjoyed for the summertime. So the first one is Every Last Secret by A.R. Torr. So I'm like looking at my notes, but this is a psychological thriller, so it's not super scary or gory because I do not like thrillers like that, but it's about the dangerous rivalry between two neighbors. So there's Kat and then Nina, and Nina wants Kat's husband, and Nina has like worked so hard to become this whole different person and fit into this society of really rich people. If you like rich people drama, both of these books that I'm about to tell you about are great, but this one is so good, and she just is trying to like steal Kat's husband the entire book, and she doesn't really realize what she's doing. It's just crazy, and there's so many plot twists in it. And I read this one on Kindle Unlimited, but I'm pretty sure it took place during the summertime. I remember reading it during the summertime, and I definitely got those vibes, so I would highly recommend this one. And if you've already read that, I would definitely recommend reading The Last Mrs. Parrish, because it's a very very similar vibe and a very similar story of like wanting to get someone else's husband because you want this perfect rich people life that you've never had, that kind of thing. But it's like super interesting. Anyways, the next one is the final book that I'm going to be recommending. It's The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hildebrand. So the reason I didn't talk about this one earlier is because this one is still considered a fiction, but I feel like it's more of a mystery because it's kind of like a murder mystery, but someone ends up dead, so it's like this huge investigation between everyone at the wedding and where they were that night. There's so much secrets and scandal in this one, and again, it's on Nantucket Island, so you have the beach vibes regardless of the fact that there's so much secrets and scandal. So it's really good, and I would highly recommend it. I also remember Golden Girl was kind of like a mystery by Ellen Hildebrand as well, if you're into that, but it's nothing too gory or disgusting. This is definitely a good option if you're looking for a mystery without it having those elements. But those are all the books that I'm going to recommend for you to read this summer. I hope you read at least one of them, and if you do, let me know how you like it. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!